Hi everybody, welcome to Jin's Wall Street News. According to the US Department of Labor, the number of Americans receiving benefits after an initial week of aid increased from 1,893,000 to 1,919,000 in the week ended May 17th, the highest since November 2021. The National Association of Realtors reported Thursday that pending home sales decreased 6.3% in April from the previous month. The US dollar index falls to 99.45 as the number of Americans receiving benefits after an initial week of aid rose to the highest level since November 2021. On Thursday after the bell, both Marvell Technology and Dell Technologies announced financial results for their first quarter. Marvell and Dell expect current quarter's revenue to rise 6% and 24% quarter over quarter, respectively. According to the US Department of Labor, the number of Americans claiming unemployment benefits increased from 226,000 to 240,000 in the week ended May 24th. In addition, the number of Americans receiving benefits after an initial week of aid increased from 1,893,000 to 1,919,000 in the week ended May 17th, the highest since November 2021. According to the National Association of Realtors, the pending home sales index, a forward-looking indicator of home sales based on contract signings, tumbled 6.3% from 76.1 in March to 71.3 in April. The National Association of Realtors chief economist Lawrence Yun said, quote, "At this critical stage of the housing market, it is all about mortgage rates. Lower mortgage rates are essential to bring home buyers back into the housing market." The US dollar index rose above 100 after the US Court of International Trade blocked the reciprocal tariffs on Wednesday. However, it fell again as investors became concerned about the US labor market because the number of Americans receiving benefits after an initial week of aid increased to the highest level since November 2021. It was a bad news for the US stock market, but fortunately, it started to rebound. 10-year Treasury yield also fell after the US Department of Labor reported the continuing jobless claims. Now Treasury yields seem to be working properly as they fell according to the weak economic data. This is much better than the situation where Treasury yields go up with bad economic data as they did just a week ago. On Thursday after the bell, Marvell Technology, an American semiconductor company, announced financial results for the first quarter fiscal year 2026. The company reported $1,895,000,000 of revenue, up 4% from the previous quarter, above its previously estimated revenue of $1,875,000,000. Operating income increased 15% from $235 million in Q4 to $270.6 million in Q1. When it comes to the guidance, the company expects current quarter's revenue to be $2 billion, plus or minus 5%, up 6% quarter-over-quarter. However, shares of Marvell Technology fell about 3% on Thursday in extended trading. On Thursday after the bell, Dell Technologies, one of NVIDIA's primary vendors building systems around NVIDIA's GPU, announced financial results for the first quarter fiscal 2026. The company reported $23.4 billion of revenue, down 2% sequentially, above its previously estimated revenue of $23 billion. Operating income decreased 46% from $2.2 billion in Q4 to $1.2 billion in Q1. However, when it comes to the guidance, the company expects current quarter's revenue to be between $28.5 billion and $29.5 billion, the midpoint of $29 billion, up 24% quarter-over-quarter. Due to the 24% revenue increase in the guidance, Dell stock rose about 2% in extended trading on Thursday. Okay, this is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.